Thank you for staying with us. If you're just joining us, this is the second half of your flagship news and current affairs program, Journalist Hangout. We're reaching you live from our headquarters here in Lagos, Nigeria, and I still have Babajide Kolade Otitoju and Gani Kayode Balogun, and Kolawole Johnson is in Abuja studio, and Mujid Jamiu is joining us via Zoom. And I also have a professional that's an oil expert waiting from the United Kingdom, that's Tunde Adekunle, to join us via Zoom. We join you very soon. It's a loaded program, and we are just concentrating today on the subsidy crisis generated as a result of the removal of that subsidy. Ultimately, this is the first time I'll see, I don't know, during the 8 years of President Muhammadu Buhari, the Nigerian Labour Congress, they've called out some strikes, some successful, some not successful. So ultimately, the last time we had very successful strikes was during the time of Adams Oshiomhole, effectively grounding the country. And can we afford to go back to that era right now?
No,
5 days, 6 days, people locked down home with our economy right now.
See, for the purpose of grounding the country because subsidy, which is an enemy of our country, has been removed, is not a reason to ground the country. In fact, that would be waging a war against your own country. We can't have the kind of strikes that we had during the Oshiomhole era. We can't have it. And you know, even at that time, government will still succeed in its aim of increasing fuel price. Sometimes what you gain is just a matter of 2-3 naira, you know, and then you ask yourself, does it make any sense to embark on like 4 or 5 days strike only to have like 3 or 4 naira considered by government? Even Oshiomhole never achieved substantial concession from government. It's usually something little. And at a point, you see that even labor will be weary because some people will be going to work. And that's not what you want to see. Once some people begin to go to work, the strike is failing. So in this case, I do not see that level of success that we had during that era. And that's why, if I were the NLC, especially now that they are talking to TUC does not believe in an outright strike. They said it from the beginning. If I were them, I would not close the door of negotiation. I will be looking at what I can get.
Last minute.
What concessions I can get. Because at the end of the day, if it is TUC that secures some concession, then it's bad for the Ajero group. And these are the kind of things that people don't forget.
Legitimately, it is the right of NLC. As in, you can't just, Ajero is just coming in, and the new government just came in, and the policy, and they can't just sit down and say, oh, government, oh, carry on with your, we are behind you. Any sensitive labor that's cater for the welfare, or cares about the welfare of the workers, will want to do this kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you think it is going to the extreme, going on strike?
Of course, it's going to the extreme, but people negotiate in different ways. Some have the patience of a Job to give government a very long rope for them to come to a negotiation, ultimately to an agreement. Meanwhile, some will just go straight to war. But the Nigeria of 1988, during Babangida years or the Oshiomhole years, is not the Nigeria of 2023. The Nigeria of 2023 is so segmented along religious and ethnic lines that it will be almost impossible to present a united front to fight this particular battle. And already the cracks are there from the beginning. People are already picking sides on whether to go on strike or not. The danger here is that you don't use your ultimate weapon so early in the game. Ajero is not a chess player. You cannot simply sacrifice your queen. Basically, when you need pawns to play with. By now, you have shown it that after the strike, what next? That's the question. Let's say the government stood its ground.
And you can't reverse this.
And you can't reverse it. And the government said No, I'm sorry.
It's only the National Assembly. People must realize that Tinubu did not remove subsidy.
No, they did not. Not
The
for
decision was taken by the previous administration through the National Assembly. So if anyone wants us to return to status quo ante,
Go back to National
they
Assembly.
have to go to the National Assembly because that decision was taken at that level. So that Tinubu said subsidy is gone. He's only reporting like a journalist.
It's an affirmation of the reality
of what the decision that had been taken
6 months ago.
You remember that the Minister of Finance even talked about it the other day. When people thought she was saying that, they are not going to remove it, she said no. She said no. We are only waiting for the incoming administration
to take office.
To implement it and look at modalities by which they can implement. So that decision was a Buhari decision. Nigerians need to know that. It was a decision taken by the president.
It was an inherited decision.
And that decision flows from the passing of the PIA. Because you can't deregulate that sector and still say subsidy and be fixing prices. No.
Strong. Okay, joining us for more discussion on this issue is an oil and gas expert from the United Kingdom, Tunde Adekunle. Thank you for joining us.
Yes, you're welcome.
Okay, this is your field, and what do you think have gone wrong with Nigeria as a country? What is your take on the impending NLC strike?
Wow. It's a big question. Where have we gone wrong? Well, we've been kicking the bucket down the line over the years, and we can't continue to kick the bucket any longer. Now, there's so much of misinformation out there on this subsidy issue in terms of why do we have to remove it? It's after all, some nations do provide subsidy. Fine, yes, some do, but then can they afford it? Now, my main concern, or shall I say the main issue, problem with the subsidy on this issue, like I said, is what everybody has said, and we've all agreed that subsidy, like the Vice President said, he said, if we don't kill subsidy, subsidy will kill the country. Now, where do we go from here? People have been comparing the cost of living, the minimum wages, which is one of the things the unions are talking about now, that in UK, it's 900,000 naira a month. In America, it's blah, 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 which is false. Now, to calculate the cost of living, to calculate the minimum wage, you have to take into consideration your standard of living. Now, if we now look at that, that's something that, if you look at the standard of living in the United Kingdom and in America, it is not the same. No two countries' wages are the same. Your wages is determined by your standard of living and your cost of living. Now, removing of subsidy, even the strike itself, so to say, I believe the NLC took a wrong position. In trade union, you don't go for strike while negotiation is still on. Not even when the negotiations are not even broken down. According to reports, was that there was a deadlock. Deadlock means that negotiations are still on, but you could not agree at that point in time. But you're going to still reconvene and continue where you left off. But for the NLC to call off the strike immediately, unilaterally, like I said, unilaterally by the executive, or so to say. Normally, in the other parts of the world, what they do is this: before they go on strike like that, once things happen like that, they call a Congress meeting and report back, because there are different unions that make up the NLC, and discuss these things that come to make a position. Some might say, no, let's have a strike, or we should go ahead with this. You don't just call a strike like that, because there is no breakdown in negotiation in this aspect. Now, that's by the wayside. So I was, in my own opinion, people, in our own opinion, yes, the prices of petrol is going to be determined by market forces, but then the government has to what we call protection of the consumers as well. We can't leave everything to be determined by market forces. No government leaves everything to be determined by the market forces, because in our own case, in Nigeria especially, we have people who will take advantage, and to the extent that the profit margin will be too high. So what I mean by protecting the consumer, with the template of determining the price of the final price of the consumer, the government will put a cap, like a percentage, that the marketer cannot sell above, let's say 20%, depending on the area, 20%, 25% differential. That's one way of, protecting the consumer. It could be, at the end of the day, maybe it would be 400 in a place, it could be 300 in another place, depending on those variables. But then the government has to play a role in protecting the final consumer in that aspect. Now the government can, you talk about palliative. Palliative is another form of subsidy market.
No.
So we have to be careful. What exactly are we doing? Subsidy is money. If you're budgeting, if you're carrying out palliative, that means you're still subsidizing something. So what the money saved from the subsidy should be transferred to infrastructural projects. Like it could be hospitals, government can, social services as well, in terms of healthcare delivery. Say, I'm sure every worker in Nigeria will be happy if, say, kids from ages of 0 to 18 benefit from free healthcare delivery. These can be transferred from the subsidy as well. And adults over the age, retirees, say 60 and above, free health, things like that. These are things that the government, in my own opinion, the government would look into. And there's so many things the government can do. But saying that they're giving palliative subsidy as well is that, they say, I heard that they were going to give 5,000, 10 or 50. How much are they going to budget? Which is a one-off, which is nothing. So, but then the government cannot go back on this. Saying that I heard the president, the NLC president say, yes, there is money, blah, blah, blah. The government, I believe the government has been transparent enough. Members of the House of Assembly has actually come on air to explain this thing, that yes, it's in the budget, but there's no money to back it up. Even in every yearly budget, the yearly budgets, it's not always, you don't always get what you ask for from government in terms of your budget. You might budget 50 million. And budget is only released depending on the funds available to government at any point in time. Your budget for your department could be 50 million naira. And at the end of the day, you might not get more than 10 million to execute your project. So budget, yes, but what about the funds to back it up?
Thank you today.
So these are the
Thank
things.
you today. We have, let me interject you there and take Awan. Awan, thank you for joining us. We have a full house in the studio today. Everybody wants to contribute.
Thank you so much, Ayo. Ayo, yeah. I think NLC should please let us be. We have had enough from NLC. Where is this same label when our currencies were confiscated 2 months ago? Where were they? When a lot of poor people lost their businesses, where were they? Are they just waking up from slumber? Or
are you saying it is wrong for them to call out workers on strike?
Hello?
Are you saying it is wrong for NLC to call out workers on strike because of this?
Wrong. It is very wrong, Ayo. Everybody, every right-thinking person in this country believes that fuel subsidy has to go. We don't have money to finance subsidy. We don't have. The palliative should be, every Nigerian should adjust. People should adjust. People should learn to live within their means. Even the $800 million we are borrowing from World Bank is a borrow. It's a loan. We are borrowing to give people 5,000 naira, 50 million people. It's a scam. Ayo, if you give 5,000 naira to people today, who will give them next to borrow? It's scam.
Thank you, Awan. Thank you, Awan. Kolawole Johnson, let me go to Kola so that we'll be wrapping up and we'll get back to the studio. Kola, so it's 48 hours to the deadline given by the Nigerian Labour Congress, and the electricity workers too, they gave their own notice too, and people are apprehensive. They don't know what will happen come Wednesday.
See, I was trying to land on what you asked me before, on what kind of palliative. So I was running the figure to tell you. Of course, I made a mistake by saying that the man that should be paying 400,000, not 4 million. That the government is paying over 200,000 for him. But the woman in the village, the family in the village, the government only pays 1,000 for her or for the family through that subsidy. So palliative that will work will be that person in the village getting more through education, through power. Having stable power, through having good infrastructure, the roads, education. So if the person in the city who has all this access is now declaring strike, it's like declaring strike against the people who need this money the more. Those who are taking this money are the one up here. Those who have frustrated the workings of our refinery are still the same people declaring strike now. So for us, 48 hours is a long time. While I believe that negotiations should, of course, should be ongoing, we should never have a reason. I repeat, we should never have a reason to go back to the old regime. Nigeria cannot afford that. And these are the dangers. Please listen to this. Because these cabals, each time you have a new government, they go to them, let this thing stay. This is your share. Even if the principal, the topmost person, the president is not aware, those who are around him, they feed fat on this. We must not allow, of course, these are politicians. Somebody told me on a live program last week, I was on air on Monday, and I was advocating for the subsidy removal. Even before the man announced it, I said we should remove it immediately and not even wait till the end of June. Then the man called in and said that these politicians cannot afford it because they need money to fund their elections. They need money to fund their base. That this is where they get the money. So if we are not careful, politicians who even who are around the same government may want to also ensure that this regime comes back so that they can have their own share. So it is the duty of you and I, AY. It is the duty of the media and those. See, Sanusi spoke against this. Additional spoke against this. Where are they? They should be talking today for us to maintain this. We shouldn't go back. Because this is meaning that we are the money that should be going into roads, construction, into education, into health sector, is what some people are pocketing into their pockets. Nigeria does not have this money. It would be a disservice to this country. See, they have all tried to do this, from OBJ to Yaradua to Jonathan to even Buhari that called it a scam. Under him, the thing grew. That will tell you the fact that these guys are monsters. We can't overcome them. For the president to have this gut, this courage to do this, I don't want to commend him yet, though, because there are still many things to be done. But for this, let me give him that commendation and to please plead with him never to allow himself to be reversed on this one. 48 hours. If they refuse to back down, we should also call the bluff of the bad things now. See, there is no way you will see it, head or tail, whether you like it or not. If we go back, it is doom. So let's just face the strike. If it is a strike.
Just hold on your breath there. MJ, Moji Jamiu, we are running out of time. At the end of the day, Moji, are you there? At the end of the day, when you want to see this, and look at, in the last 48 hours, the number of things this has affected, transportation, food, everything, to the common man on the streets. They are now looking up to the government that, please do something.
Can you hear me?
Yes,
Yeah.
MJ.
Yes. See, but the government, while removing subsidy, should also cut its coats according to its cloths. They must show us that they are also tightening their own belts by reducing the cost of governance. It is very important. That is only when the days where a governor will go with a 20-vehicle convoy, where a wife of governor will go with a 15 or 10 vehicle convoy, should be a thing of the past. We all see the convoy of the Prime Minister of UK, just 3 or 4 vehicles. So please, I think government also need to cut down on its spending so that people can really take government serious. And also look at the demands of the TUC and labor generally. By increasing wages, the $800 million should be channeled toward paying or probably increasing minimum wage, rather than giving handouts to people.
All right, thank you, Majid. Thank you, Majid. Thank you, Majid there. Jide, quickly, before we allow Tunde to go, do you have a question for him?
Yeah, does he agree that fixing our refineries will have any impact on PMS price? That's just what, because they keep saying, no, fix the refineries, will it really have an impact on the price?
Okay. If the Kaduna refinery is working, Warri, Port Harcourt refinery, they're working at maximum capacity, would there be any effect on the price we're buying PMS, 1 liter? Tunde, can you get that question?
Can you repeat yourself, please?
Yes.
What? Okay.
My question is, people keep saying, oh, government must fix the refineries before even subsidy removal. If we fix the refineries, will it have any impact on the price of PMS? Will it bring it down significantly? What impact are we going to derive?
It will have an impact. It will definitely have an impact. Because number one, we will not be importing that much. And because that will be out of it. Now, if it's fully deregulated, so to say, if it's become fully deregulated, where you have many players and in the market, even importation of fuel, because there are different types of PMS in the market. So you could buy from anywhere at the prevailing rate there. So it could be cheaper in country A than country B. So this coming into it, then there will be competition in the market as well. Even though we produce, and a marketer might decide to buy elsewhere cheaper than what any of our refineries are selling.
All right.
Depending on the market, depending on the situation at time.